Is a key US military ally now quietly dumping Donald Trump and courting Xi Jinping after his high-profile China visit failed to deliver real gains? A frontline Indo-Pacific partner turns to Beijing for emergency oil in the middle of the Hormuz crisis. Is it signaling doubt about Washington's ability to protect supply lines? As Australia locks in 100 million litres of Chinese jet fuel while Trump returns home empty-handed, who is really in control of the energy lifeline? And if the Strait of Hormuz keeps roiling markets, will Trump's failure to stabilize the choke point end up pushing more US allies into deals with America's biggest rivals? As the Iran war disrupts global energy supply, Australia has secured emergency jet fuel shipments from China to help stabilize its domestic market. On May 19th, Canberra announced it had locked in 3 jet fuel cargoes from China in response to the supply chaos caused by disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. More than 600,000 barrels, or about 100 million litres, of jet fuel are expected to arrive in Australia from early June onwards under these arrangements. Officials said the additional jet fuel accounts for roughly 1% of Australia's total yearly jet fuel consumption. The shipments were agreed after talks between Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Chinese Premier Li Qiang on securing critical supplies. China had reportedly reduced its fuel exports since March in order to protect its own domestic fuel supplies. These moves come as the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz has disrupted global crude oil and refined fuel flows across international markets. In parallel, Australia has also secured 38,500 metric tons of urea from Brunei to support its agricultural sector. The urea shipments are intended to prevent fertilizer shortages for Australian farmers during the ongoing supply crunch. Both the fuel and fertilizer deals were arranged under new $5.36 billion fuel and fertilizer security plan announced by Canberra. Foreign Minister Penny Wong said Australia is working with international partners to cope with the supply shock affecting energy and fertilizer imports. The supply crunch began after the Iran conflict severely disrupted global energy routes and created turmoil in oil and fuel shipping. The ongoing disruption in and around the Strait of Hormuz continues to rattle transport systems, agricultural production, and wider global trade networks. Amid this broader supply shock, separate reports indicated that the United States has agreed to temporarily ease some sanctions on Iranian oil, allowing limited relief in exports as part of ongoing negotiations. This reported move followed Iran's submission of a new 14-point peace proposal, which was sent to Pakistan to act as a mediator between Tehran and Washington. According to Iranian outlet Tasnim news agency, the new framework represents a shift in the US position on sanctions and economic pressure. The report suggested that Washington may temporarily ease oil sanctions using existing mechanisms under the US Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, rather than through new legislation. Iranian officials have not yet formally confirmed that any such temporary sanctions waiver or oil export relief has been finalized. Tehran, however, continues to publicly demand the full removal of all US sanctions as a core condition of any final peace agreement. Iranian leaders also insist that sanctions relief must be clearly written into the final peace understanding, not left as discretionary or reversible steps. Pakistani sources indicate that Islamabad has already conveyed Iran's revised peace proposal to US officials as part of its mediation efforts. Just a day earlier, Donald Trump warned that time is of the essence for Iran in a new post, casting the standoff as a race against an invisible deadline. He said Iran must get moving fast on a ceasefire arrangement or face what he described as major consequences from the United States. The warning landed while talks over Iran's nuclear program once again appear stalled, deepening uncertainty over whether negotiations can still head off another round of strikes. Trump has also threatened harsher military action if Tehran does not comply with US demands, signaling that any future campaign could be broader than the last phase of the war. Interestingly, this renewed war talk comes at the same time as reports that US munitions and readiness levels are under strain, raising questions about how long Washington can sustain another major Iran surge. On May 17th, a drone strike caused a fire at an electrical generator associated with the Baraka nuclear power plant, instantly raising alarms about the vulnerability of critical energy infrastructure. The attack occurred in the Al Dhafar region and, crucially, outside the plant's heavily protected inner perimeter, allowing Emirati officials to stress that the reactor itself was never in direct danger. Abu Dhabi's media office reported that no injuries were recorded and that radiological safety levels remained unchanged, seeking to calm fears of any nuclear leak or contamination. Authorities emphasized that the blaze was quickly contained by emergency teams and did not breach any of Barakah's core nuclear safety systems, framing the incident as a security warning rather than a nuclear accident. So far, the UAE Defense Ministry has publicly maintained that the source of the drone attack is unknown, keeping its official language carefully neutral. Unlike previous incidents, Abu Dhabi has pointedly avoided directly accusing Iran, a notable change in tone that has fueled speculation about other possible culprits. Iran's Tasnim news agency quickly raised questions about possible Saudi involvement, highlighting regional rivalries and hinting at tensions that go beyond the usual Iran-UAE narrative. Tasnim claimed that relations between Riyadh and Abu Dhabi have recently entered a cold phase, suggesting that political friction could now be spilling over into the security realm. All of this is unfolding as Saudi Arabia and the UAE increasingly disagree over key parts of regional security strategy, from Iran and Yemen to energy policy and ties with Israel. Amid fresh warnings that the ceasefire could collapse, a new account of the UAE's behind-the-scenes role is shocking the region, casting Trump's Gulf ally as one of the loudest voices for hitting Iran harder. According to this report, shortly after US-Israeli strikes began, Abu Dhabi pressed its neighbors to join a broader regional response, trying to turn limited retaliation into a Gulf-wide front against Tehran. Mohammed bin Zayed personally urged Saudi Arabia and Qatar to participate in a joint answer to Iranian attacks, arguing that only a united wall of states could deter further strikes. MBZ is reported to have believed that if the Gulf stood together, politically and militarily, Iran would think twice before firing on oil terminals, towers, and airports again. Instead, key partners including Saudi Arabia and several other Gulf states refused to sign up to a retaliatory campaign, judging that escalation carried more risks than benefits. Some leaders are even said to have told MBZ bluntly that this was not their conflict, signaling they were unwilling to be dragged deeper into a fight they saw as primarily US-Iranian. All of this unfolded as Tehran fired nearly 3,000 drones and missiles at targets inside the UAE before the April 8 ceasefire, turning Dubai and Abu Dhabi into frontline cities overnight. Iran's barrages also struck ports, airports, towers and hotels across the wider region, underscoring why some Gulf rulers feared any additional strikes might only invite more destruction at home.